What's up, everyone? This week on the pod, we have the Oxnard legend, Big Bob from Aggression. Maybe the man who started it all. And, yeah, super stoked to have Bob. He was awesome. He remembered so much. I hope you enjoy the interview. And, yeah, and Bob, he's still screen printing. He's, like, making posters and shit. So he's on Facebook. Reach out to him. Get in touch, buy some of the stuff that he's producing. Support that old guard when they're still being creative and creating things. So, look out, buy a poster, buy a shirt, something. That'd be fucking rad. If you would like to support this podcast, please like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, if you would like to go the extra mile, you can go to patreon.com/185 miles south and become a Patreon. Donate whatever you can per month. And that's really what keeps the show going. It helps me be able to travel out of town and do as many interviews as I can in person. Help the Talking Nardcore stuff that we do. And help with like the monthly fixed costs of the show. Those people are my personal heroes. Much respect. Let's get on to the mighty Big Bob.
"185 Miles South", a hardcore punk rock podcast.
All right, this week we have the legend, Big Bob from Aggression. The man who maybe started it all, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. You can take credit for it.
Well, it was a long time ago. I never thought it would go as far as it did.
Yeah. What year was it that you got into punk rock? And were you heavily into any other type of music before punk?
I wasn't into any music, really. I mean, I'd gone to a lot of shows. I'd seen Led Zeppelin at the Forum. I've seen just about all the metal bands. And I was working for a concert company in Denver for a long time. So I was working 200 shows a year. Mm-hmm. Everybody from B.B. King to Dawkins, some stupid bands like that.
Sure.
So,
but none of that hit you.
No. I moved to California when I came back. I was in California in '75, and I was like 17 years old, and I was drunk all the time. That's all I did was drink and smoke. So my friends got on my case, and they said, "Hey, look, there's a job. Go to Antarctica. Be all you can be for the Navy and shit."
Okay.
So They said, "You'll never go." So I went down, woke up the next morning, applied. Never heard from them again until about 2 days before the last plane was going to Antarctica. And then they called me up and said, "Hey, someone canceled. You want to go?" So I went to Antarctica for 6 months as a civilian cook for the Navy.
In 75?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I came back at the beginning of 76, and my friends were up in Humboldt, Mendocino area, and they were growing a lot of weed on a hippie commune.
Sure.
So I went up to grow weed with those guys for a year, and we did that. We made a lot of money. The next year,
what was that like? Because that's real outlaw time. 76.
Yeah. Duke Magian. We lost 3 patches to the government. To Duke Magian and all his stormtroopers and all that. We lost a few thousands of dollars to
Holy
that.
shit.
But nobody ever got busted. We were really lucky.
Cool.
So at the end of that year, I had seen an article in Time magazine in 76. I saw an article in Time magazine about punk rock. And I was like, wow, these guys are having fun. Look they're right next to the band. They're touching the band. They're singing on the same mic with the band. Everybody looked all cool and strange, and they had all weird haircuts. So the next day I went down to the main camp where everybody stayed, and I had them cut all my hair off.
Yeah.
And that weekend I took one of the vehicles from there and I went to San Francisco, and I got a hotel, and then I asked the cab driver if there was any punk places, and he had told me about a couple places. Then I saw some people that I considered to be punk at that time, and I went and asked them, and they said, "Oh, go to Mabuhay tonight. Dead Kennedys are playing."
Cool.
So I never heard of Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
So I went. I fell in love. I mean, it was.
So this is 1977. And you're probably you're
76.
18. 76, and you're 18.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I started going every weekend while I was up there, and then I came back down, and I was skating with Mark and stuff. And
Well, how did you meet Mark?
me and Mark had known each other for 5 years before all of this. We moved in together at 13 on Silver Strand Beach. We had a house, and we were both selling weed and living
In the early
there.
70s.
Yeah, like 72.
Okay.
And when I came back the next year up to Humboldt to grow weed again with those guys, Henry came up with us.
Oh.
And Henry was already playing guitar, so I would sit and we lived in a trailer, and I would sit there and listen to him play. And I went and bought a bass one weekend in San Francisco and brought it back, and Henry taught me how to play along to like the first 3 Aggression songs were written up there in that trailer. I think it was No Mercy, Stop the Clock, and Go to War.
Okay.
Were written up in that trailer.
And that would be 78 or 79?
77.
Okay. Wow.
So I came back down, and Henry still hadn't been to a show at that point.
Okay.
So I took him to his first show. I think it was X, Fear, Germs, Suburban Lawns, and a band from Canada called the Dills.
Okay.
And he fell in love too. Cut his hair off. You know, we were going. We tried to get Mark to come to shows, and Mark had that Farrah Fawcett look going at that time. You know, with the long blonde curly hair, and
A surfer.
he loved his hair. He loved his hair.
Yeah.
In the Someone Got Their Head Kicked In album, if you get the little booklet, there's a picture of me, Mark, and Henry leaning up against my Volkswagen, and we all have hair down to our shoulders.
Yeah, and that's from around that era?
75, early 75.
Cool.
So we got Mark to go to a show, but he loved it, but he wouldn't cut his hair off. At first, it took him like 5 shows to get rid of the hair.
Uh-huh.
You know, he got a lot of shit at shows and stuff in the beginning in L.A. And then we started playing, and
Who's your drummer at this point?
Rick Heller from Dr. No was the
Okay.
original drummer, I think.
The original?
Yeah.
In like 70?
In the beginning, yeah.
Cool.
So we came down, we started playing parties, and then it wasn't going. They kicked me out
Okay.
because they had Eugene from Decline of the Western Civilization.
Okay.
He played bass for Aggression for a while.
For a little while.
Yeah, he helped. If you look on the album, it says Gene the Huge Dannon or something. That's how he wanted to be known as.
Okay.
And he helped write Money Machine and Locals Only, I think.
Okay.
At that point.
Okay.
And I went up and I started another band in San Francisco called Blistering Agents.
And did you ever record with Blistering Agents?
Never recorded, but that's where I started meeting people like Kevin from 7 Seconds, Keith from Black Flag. At that point, he was in Black Flag. All the people that I still know today and stuff, from 35 years ago. It's amazing, that Kevin and I still talk every day almost,
Sure.
like that kind of stuff. It's really cool. So it's nice to know people that, have been around for that long.
Yeah.
And can understand where I'm coming from.
What year do you think Aggression was like a fully formed band where you're like playing shows and you're good?
Well, we started playing parties in 78.
Okay.
When I came back down and they kicked Eugene out and I came back into the band. And we started, I think that was about the time we changed it from 1G to 2Gs, or from 2Gs to 1G.
To the one.
Yeah, 'cause we thought it looked better a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
And then that was about the time that I came up with the artwork with the cop and skeleton. And I asked Jaime to draw that up for us. And of course, I mean, that's by far our most recognizable artwork, I would say.
And where are the shows at this time?
Ventura houses, mostly houses.
Mostly parties.
Yeah, mostly houses.
And do you run into the Rotters at all? Because that's the only other band that would have been around in the late 70s.
I had their 45, but I had never seen them.
Yeah.
And I only knew they, at that point they were from like Newberry Park or
Okay.
Thousand Oaks or somewhere
Okay.
up in that area.
Yeah.
But I had, Sit on My Face, Stevie Nicks,
Yeah.
Amputee, the original copy.
I like the second one more. The Sink the Whales
Oh,
by
yeah,
Japanese
yeah.
Goods.
And I had that one too
Yeah,
at some
'cause they got the
point.
two.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think they're Camarillo. I need to get one of the guys is still around.
Yeah,
I need to get
Fester.
him. Yeah. I need to get him on. Okay, but you don't play with them at all. That you remember?
Not not real. No, not.
They were
back
kind
then.
of like one of those like obscure bands that just came out, put out a couple records, and went away. Then
Yeah, I think so. And then also at that time, when you had a live punk band at your party, chances are only one band's going to get to play.
because the cops are going to show up,
Yeah,
right?
because the neighbors aren't going to be digging it.
Okay.
So we would get lucky if we could finish a whole set. We felt lucky.
Yeah.
You know?
So, but by 81, you're going.
79 is when we started playing shows, and we'd get at shows, and we got a pretty good little following. Quick, we met the Stern brothers from BYO Records.
Right, because they're running Godzilla's in 81.
Yeah, and I worked every show at Godzilla's.
Yeah. So let's talk about me and the Stern brothers. What was that like?
Well, there's good things and bad, I mean, I made a mistake and I did something, when I was out there and I wasn't the best person. I went in and got a bunch of stuff fronted to me and thousands of dollars, and I wasn't supposed to have gotten it. Let's put it that way. So
That's around the time of the LP, though.
yeah, yeah. I got that was after the album was out.
Okay.
For a while, and the first thing that we did was we recorded for those 3 songs for
Someone Got Their Head Kicked In.
Yeah, Someone Got Their Head Kicked In, which in my opinion is one of the best comps ever.
One of the best comps ever, for sure.
I mean, look at that. You got Social Distortion, Aggression,
Bad Religion,
Youth Brigade,
Yep. Battalion of Saints.
Battalion of Saints. Oh, and that was our first tour was with Battalion of Saints.
Yeah, so let's talk about, that's the first. Did Aggression do any demos or anything before that recording session, or was that the first time you
That
were
was
in the
the first
studio?
time we'd ever recorded.
Yeah, and what was that like? Because it came out stellar.
It was killer. It was fun. BYO picked out a good studio. I think it was Perspective Sound.
Okay.
And great place. The guys were really good there. They knew what they were doing.
And you guys were completely competent at that time. You guys are raging.
Yeah. We were doing pretty well at that time. I mean, like bands like The Offspring and Suicidal would open for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we were selling out Fenders and places like that on our own.
Yeah, so rad.
It was really cool.
Okay. And then you go in, and if you want to jump to 83, then that's the first LP.
Yeah, Don't Be Mistaken.
Yeah. And do you remember where you recorded that?
Perspective Sound.
Okay, same. So you go back, it's the same guys.
Yeah.
And the process of writing an LP, was that gnarly?
No, we had pretty much already had the songs.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark and Henry were putting them out at that time.
Yeah.
Really quick. So when we first started, I think we had the 4 original songs, and we were playing, Police Truck. I don't care about you.
Sure.
I love living in the city.
Sure.
We were playing a lot of other bands' songs in the beginning, and then we started to add as we got more. Dear John Letter, Locals Only, Stop the Clock. They all started coming in, and we actually, I think, left a couple songs off the Don't Be Mistaken album at that time because we figured, that was enough.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of songs on there, but that album's a banger.
I think it's our best.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah. And do you see the popularity grow even more after the first LP comes out?
Yeah. We started doing better on tours. Like the first tour we came back, it was 3 months. We went out on the road. We came back owing, $5,000.
When was the first time that Aggression ever played out of town, you think?
81.
Okay. And where would you have gone?
Well, we did a whole United States tour with Battalion of Saints.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of similar to the Another State of Mind tour. You went in a bus.
Yeah, well, that was the other half of our tour.
Okay.
It was Youth Brigade and Social Distortion went one way, and we went the other way, and we were going to meet in New York and then play each other. We were going to do full circles and everything. And our tour was pretty much like their tour, except they filmed their tour, but they didn't film ours at all. We broke down in Okmulgee, Oklahoma.
Okay. And is that on the way out or on the way back you broke down?
On the way there heading towards the East Coast.
Okay. Do you remember any of the shows on the way out, like playing Arizona or anything like that?
We played the Mason Jar in Phoenix. We went up to San Francisco and then went to Reno and did a show with 7 Seconds, and then back down into Arizona, Las Vegas, Nevada, and that area.
Yeah, and what are shows like in that time period? Like
pretty small.
1981 playing
pretty small.
With 7 Seconds in Reno.
Yeah, even in Reno with them, maybe 50 people.
Yeah,
at that time.
It's before they hit their classic.
It's kind of before their BYO album too.
Yeah.
And it just was catching on, I think, at that time.
But so just because there's 50 people in the room doesn't mean it's a bad show.
Oh no,
because were the 50 people into it?
Oh yeah,
these are diehards.
It doesn't matter if you play a show. You come to a town, you play a show. There's 10 people there. You give it your all.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to do what you want to because next time you go, you got those 10 people. I hook those 10 people up with
They tell their
stickers.
friends.
Yeah, you give them a bunch of stickers, T-shirts. They give them to their friends. Their friends are putting them on. Next time you got 100 people. The next time after that, you got 200.
Yeah.
You know, it's Phoenix and Tucson was like that for us. The first few times we went, we'd get like 100, 200 people. Then the last times we went, we were getting like 600 people in Vegas, Phoenix, Tucson.
Yeah.
And I think the last tour we did there was Kyle. Henry was in jail, and Kyle from Dr. No played guitar for us.
For a tour.
Yeah, for like 3 shows,
Okay.
a little short tour.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the most powerful that Aggression has ever sounded.
Yeah. Okay, so you get out to Oklahoma and you break down. There was a story that you were telling me before about like living off the per diems.
Oh, everybody, yeah, we had no money basically. We'd put together $10 and try to go out and buy that red seal bologna, you know, with the red thing over it. And
Yeah.
everybody would have a piece of bread and, you know, get some bologna, and we felt, you know, then you were full for the day because that's all you were getting.
Yeah.
And Larry White was our drummer at that time, and we were he would disappear every day after we'd eat on his skateboard and go for a ride, and we got kind of weird, like, where's Larry going every day? So I followed him one day, and down by the gas station there was a Sizzler. I'm walking by the Sizzler and I look inside, and there's Larry sitting at a table eating steak. I walked up to the window and knocked, and he didn't see me yet, and he saw me. He was like, oh shit, oh shit. So I walk in, I sit down, I go, Larry, what's up, man? He goes, tell everybody I'm buying them a lunch. So I walk back down, I go, hey, Larry's got a credit card. And they're all, what? I said, he's eating steak at Sizzler right now. And everybody's, let's go get him. I go, no, he's going to buy us all dinner right now, so let's go. So Battalion of Saints hopped up. We all trucked back over to the Sizzler and get a big table and sit down, and everybody eats at Larry's expense.
That was a good night.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, that was so cool. Any other thing you remember from that tour? Because that's still the 81 tour, correct?
Yeah, that's still with Battalion. We got the bus fixed after a week in Okmulgee, Oklahoma.
So you spent a week in Okmulgee.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
Well, we went to a lake.
Okay.
There was a lake down the road from the little town, and we kind of just hung out there for
Partied a little bit.
Yeah.
There's worse places to be than by the lake, huh?
Yeah, and you know they were having like drag races for boats one weekend we were there, so there was all kinds of people going crazy.
Yeah, some
parties.
free entertainment.
Yeah, we got to watch. Henry was sleeping outside the bus one night, and we were looking, and this skunk came walking up and was outside the thing, and I said, Henry, there's a skunk right by your sleeping bag. And he was like, no, there's not. And then the thing jumped on the sleeping bag because it saw his toes move. Uh-huh. So Henry looked, and he jumped up, and he was trying to run around from the skunk was chasing him. And he's jumping around, hopping in his sleeping bag because he can't get out of it. And there's a little wall, and he's hopping on one side of the wall, and the skunk runs around to the other side, so he hops back on, and the skunk runs around that side. We laughed so hard. I never laughed so hard in my life watching Henry get chased by that skunk.
Oh, that's so funny. So there was also a night that you helped out the BYO guys by going and getting their masters back from Mystic. Is a story that Sean told. So basically, I think Doug Moody took all the rights to himself.
Oh yeah.
And then
yeah.
you guys were at a show right around the corner.
Yeah, we were playing the Cafe de Grand.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
We went over there and went in and got all that.
Yeah.
Got all the stuff for BYO.
That was a nice thing for you to do. Did you meet Doug before then, or was that your first introduction to him?
The first time, no, because we did someone got their head kicked in at someone got their head kicked in at Mystic.
That's right. So they got recorded in Mystic.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was when I met Doug and Phil Raves and the people that were associated with that. And I always seen Mystic because we played. That was like Cafe de Grand was right across.
Right there.
Like we used to play there like every week.
Sure.
I would look in the LA Weekly, up here on Friday night, and I'd be going, "Oh, who's playing at the cafe tonight?" And I was like, "Oh shit, Aggression's playing, huh?"
Yeah.
Like, "Hey, Mark, we're booked tonight at the cafe." Mm-hmm. And he'd go, and I'd call up Henry, and we'd run down there, throw everything together last minute, and go play the show.
Yeah.
I think they just used to put us on there when they couldn't get a hold of us, hoping we'd see it and show up.
Sure.
Or else they'd get our crowd coming there and we wouldn't have to pay us.
Yeah, just put you on the flyer.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't show up.
All right. So before we get to Mystic, actually, we should finish out that tour. So you break down, you get the bus fixed, and
Yeah,
then
well, and there was another part on that tour. We stopped in a right before Okmulgee, Oklahoma. We stopped in a gas station to get gas, and we're all pretty motley looking crew between us and then battalion with their spikes, their Liberty spikes and everything. We pull into a gas station, and some guys start giving us a hard time in there, and we just laughed at them, and got back on the freeway. So pretty soon, we're on the freeway, and they're right next to us, and they're throwing bottles at the bus, and Henry
Jesus.
went and opened the front door of the bus, and he threw a bottle at the guy, and he went right in the window and hit the seat. He didn't hit him. So the guy, he's driving down the freeway, and he picks up the bottle with his right hand. He's got the steering wheel with his left hand, and he pulls up, and Henry's yelling at him, and he went to throw the bottle. Well, when he threw the bottle like this, his hand with the steering wheel went like that. So he went...
yeah.
And they did about 12 rollovers.
Jesus.
They just started rolling.
Yeah.
And so we stopped. We seen them get out of the car, and we left.
Yeah.
They're
okay.
We didn't go over there and talk to them or anything. So we're down the road, maybe 50 miles, and all of a sudden 6 cop cars pull up on us, and they've got us down. They take us to jail. We're in there for maybe 2.5 hours, and they're like asking us all these questions. What are you doing? What's the equipment? Trying to find out what's going on. And about 10 minutes later, the guy comes in. He goes, "Okay, guys, you're gone. You can get out of here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Doug Moody from Mystic Records just paid your bail."
Oh.
And I go, "Well, how much was it?" $10,000.
Jesus.
So, a lot of people complain about Mystic not paying him or doing this, but I really don't have that same experience with Mystic. Sure, they're hard to deal with and everything. We never got paid money from them, but anytime I needed tapes or records or anything to sell, Doug was always there. He did pay the $10,000 to get us out of jail. We never had to pay that back. He gave us a credit card to take on the next tour. We ran up like $6,000 on that. Never paid that back,
Yeah.
So we would look for hotels that had gas stations attached to them, so you could use it the credit card for gas and a hotel.
Yeah.
So we probably ended up doing better than most of the Mystic bands.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of stories.
Well, they're all paying your debt.
Yeah. Well, Doug called me, or one of his some girl now. I'm not sure. I think it's probably this Candace girl, but she's got some weird name, Boadacious Star or something like that, telling me that 2 weeks ago, Doug wants to send you some stuff. It'll be I'll put it in the mail tomorrow. 4 days later, I call, "Oh, no, Doug fell down and broke his foot, and he's going to put it in the mail when he gets well."
Yeah.
Well, that's like the same thing that happened to the last 2 years in a row. Every time they were going to send me something,
Sure.
Doug falls down and hurts himself.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this girl is the same or not.
Yeah, I don't know. He's old though now. I mean,
Yeah,
Doug he's at least in his late 80s.
I mean, I love Doug. He used to come to my boat when I lived in L.A. Harbor. He'd come down and fish with me and my dad, and him and his girlfriend would come over, hang out, we'd barbecue and stuff. So
Yeah.
I actually have a pretty good relationship with Doug over the years. I mean, there's been hard times, but
Sure. Do you just come home then after the Oklahoma? Like you get the bus fixed and come back?
yeah. Well, the bus we left there.
Okay.
We left it in Santa Rosa, New Mexico,
Okay.
and everybody kind of.
How do you get home?
We made Larry pay for for Greyhound tickets.
Okay, so you take the Greyhound home.
Yeah. We all went home in the Greyhound.
Cool. And so when is the next time you go out, like in regards to the chronology of your...
right at the beginning of, right after we did...
the LP?
Yeah, Don't Be Mistaken.
Okay,
We went out right
so right after that you go out
and
again.
that was on our own.
Okay, so you go out by yourselves, and this time in a van?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember where you went?
Like 6 shows in Texas. We did.
So you start going through Texas
and Arizona, and then in Louisiana, Florida, and then up the coast, and then in New Jersey. We did a live album at CBGB's. We didn't even know about it until the day it was happening. Doug goes, "You're not at the club, Doug." I called Doug, and he's like, "How come you aren't at the club yet?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I got you guys are doing the live album there." I'm like, "What?" I go, "Nice to tell me, except for and tell me on the day that we're supposed to be there." So
Yeah.
we got there, and it was like just one big clusterfuck, everybody running around like chickens with their heads cut off and stuff.
So how are shows in '83 like going through Texas? Is it big yet?
Yeah, it's starting to get bigger, 100 people, 125, 30, 40 people, lots of characters, lots of cool people.
Sure. I mean, well, they have memorable bands from Texas in that era.
Oh yeah. And
the
then plus,
Dicks.
there was a girl like the Texas Cowgirls. There was like this little group of girls, 6 or 7 little girls, that they would follow us from every show we played in Texas. They would show up at our first show and then hang out with us the whole way. If we had like 6 shows, they'd go to all 6 shows with us. And
Like the Grateful Dead.
kind of like that, yeah.
That's so cool.
Kind of like that. Every year when we came back, they would always be there.
Yeah. So then out of Texas, you go into the South, and that would have been your first time playing the South. What was that like?
Different.
Mm-hmm.
Different.
It's so different than coming out of California, where we have every single type of person, right? And we're used to being around everyone.
Well, you go in the gas stations, and there's Confederate flags everywhere, and you can see the signs. Still at that point, there was still no colored people allowed in this restrooms, stuff like that. We came back the next year, and we had a black drummer, John Mitchell, and we played in this place. I think it was called D.W. Don's, and it was in Mississippi. And the guy who owned the club, he got up and hey, can I introduce you guys? And we were like, sure. And I thought he was going to be like cool, and he got up and he said, I just want to say that this is the very first time a black man has ever played on this stage. And I was like, holy shit. But there was 100 people in the crowd, and they all just started going, "Yay!"
Oh, nice.
John standing up, taking bows, and everybody's just going wild. And,
yeah, so it backfired on the.
Yeah, he just stood there shaking his head, and he had to walk off stage in disgust. But
that's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it was like we felt so big, we felt vindified right there because.
Pretty groundbreaking then.
Yeah,
for the South, like eat it, dude.
Yeah,
and that's cool that the punks are like progressive.
Yeah. There wasn't any
none of the racist
bullshit.
negativity
at all whatsoever.
So cool.
Even when we would go out, when we had him with, we would go out and we did like 5 shows with Agnostic Front and stuff like that, and everybody loved John.
Yeah,
he's just a great guy.
Yeah, where would those shows have been? The 5 AF shows?
Like they're all in New York.
Oh, so you went out and you got to play New York with AF.
Yeah.
And so would that have been 84-ish?
Yeah, somewhere around.
Did
there,
they have their
85,
LP out? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay, they had the first LP out, Victim in Pain.
Yep, and then I remember getting copies of the first Cro-Mag album, 84 all that time.
Which would have been 86.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Yeah, and that was really they gave me Harley gave me a test pressing cassette or whatever, and it's way better than the album.
Okay,
I like the cassette. It's more powerful.
They demoed and it's almost all the same songs.
Yeah,
and so some people really do like the demo more than the LP.
It sounds way more powerful.
Yeah,
the demo, the EP is just kind of. To me, it's lackluster compared to them.
It's very, very different because one is more aggressive and then one is apex production for the time.
Right.
So it just kind of depends on what side you fall on.
Yeah.
But what was it like meeting the AF guys in '84?
Roger and Vinny are awesome.
Was that the first time you met them? Like show up at the show, hey, I'm Bob.
Pretty much. I think we had maybe seen them for a few minutes when they were in California the year before, and that's how we met them. And that's how we. I think that's how we met him and hooked up the shows with them.
They came out on the United Blood 7-inch before they did the LP.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, do you remember anything of those shows playing with them? Because they're one of my favorite bands of all time.
Well, there was. So I was trying to tell. I was on stage at one of the shows, and I said something about a joke or something, and some girl got in the audience and said, "Yeah, you," and so like everybody was laughing at it and stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, okay," So I go, well, we'll talk after the show. And she goes, yeah, I'll take my dog on you.
Okay.
So I go outside, and she's sitting there. She tells her dog to go get me. And the dog comes running at me, a pit bull.
Uh-huh.
He comes running at me. He jumps, and I grabbed it by the neck, and I flung it into a dumpster.
Jesus.
And then I slammed the door on the dumpster. Well, all of a sudden, she liked me.
Yeah.
She wanted to hang out with me. Every year, she'd come back and hang out with me when I was there after that. She couldn't believe I took that dog like that and put it in the dumpster.
Yeah. Are you guys sleeping in the van or?
Yeah, pretty much most of the time.
So you didn't stay in a squat when you were there at the time?
Well, no, I did. I slept in the van because they didn't have any air conditioners. It was fucking miserable.
Yeah.
It was fucking miserable.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that 100% humidity and shit,
It is wild if you're California born and raised and you leave California.
I would take at that point we were getting a little more per diem money. I would take my money and put gas in the car and sleep in the fucking car in the van, turning on the air conditioner, 4 or 5 times a night.
Yeah, well, how much is a gallon of gas at that point?
Back then, yeah. Well, still, like, you ain't making shit on tour. You're making maybe, if you're lucky, you get $100 a show, and then you're going to double or triple that in T-shirts.
Yeah.
You always make more back then we were making more from merch than we were for actual.
And you were actually an early screen printer, so you're actually cutting out the middleman on a lot of your merch.
Yeah, well, that's what we did. We took all the stuff with us on the road, and I would print T-shirts in the hotel room or backstage at the shows.
Yeah.
Depending on what we needed to do.
Yeah. Talk about getting into screen printing a little bit. That's something you did pre-punk as well, right?
Yeah. I met some friends of mine. They owned a T-shirt shop downtown in Oxnard called T-Shirts Plus. I used to work there for a few years. Their son, the people that owned it, their son was a really good friend of mine, and he's the one who kind of got me up into Humboldt, into that whole marijuana scene up there. But I worked there for 5 years, and they would send me down to classes in L.A. to learn, the newest techniques and stuff for screen printing. And that's where all the first Aggression shirts were made, the patches, the posters. I even went up and down the coast for a few years, going from town to town, and I had a catalog with like 70 different T-shirts, and I had 100 different stickers and buttons and bootleg cassettes I was making, in the hotel rooms at night. I would go to one town.
So you show someone a catalog and they'd order it, and then you could print it up for them?
I drove to San Francisco, and I'd go to a store there, and they ordered 50 shirts.
Sure.
And I would go and buy from Kmart or a T-shirt place, whatever, I could find 50 white T-shirts. Mm-hmm. Then at night in a hotel room, I would get the screens out, print them, dry them. The next day, I would deliver the shirts.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, and so then I'd go to another record store, just up and down the coast, for probably a year and a half.
So in 83-ish, there start to be more bands in the Oxnard area.
Yeah.
Do you remember them popping up? Earpiece starts in 82.
Yep.
Do you remember meeting them the first time?
Yeah, I think their first show was at the Hueneme Civic Center down at Bubbling Springs Park.
Okay, and you were there?
Yeah. I went to that. I think it was Circle One, the Beer Guts.
That's right.
And
I saw the flyer.
Yeah, a couple other bands.
Yeah.
I was there for that, and that they were, there was a great show, and I think Tony, at one point in the show, Tony came up and he said, "Hey, I got this guitar." He goes, at the end of our show, he goes, "Why don't you come up and grab it from me, push me around, take the guitar and smash it on the ground, break it, act like you hate us, act like you're pissed, So at the end of the show, I went on stage, I fucking grabbed and pushed him around, took the guitar from him, pushed him down on the ground again. I took the guitar, I broke it into a bunch of little pieces, and people were just like, "Oh my God, Bob's pissed. What's going on?"
Yeah.
And I looked at him and walked away.
Sure.
And so everybody, is positive that I just destroyed Tony's guitar. And
yeah.
it's funny because Carl didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
And he's watching it, and he had bought the guitar for Tony from a thrift store.
Right.
So he was bummed. He
Yeah.
didn't know that Tony asked me to do it. So he was like, "Bob, why did you break Tony's guitar?" And I said, "You told me to." I had to tell him, And he was like, "Oh, I like that guitar, damn it." He was a little... But when I was doing it, I happened to look over at him, and his face was just like horrified.
Oh, shit. Yeah, because what's he going to do?
Yeah, nobody's going to stop me at that point.
Yeah, and 83 Big Bob was a pretty unstoppable force.
Yeah, that's probably at my biggest point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I used to go down to L.A. every time, and me and Henry and Mark and the guys from Circle One, Blake, we would after a show, we'd go send Blake into a 7-Eleven, and there'd be a bunch of jocks in there, or something, and they'd start giving Blake a hard time, and he'd start giving them a hard time right back, and then he'd walk out, and they'd all walk out, and then we'd hop out of the car and kick the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Just for something to do,
Yeah. Well, Saturday night.
Or else, many times I've seen Henry at the Goleta, in Goleta up there. We were playing the show, and somebody drove by Henry and threw a burrito, and it hit him right in the face. And the beans, wrapped around him like perfectly. It was so funny. He just had like a total bean face, you know.
Yeah.
He had to go like this to get it out of his eyes so he could see. But it was totally funny. But then other times people have tried to. I seen some guys tried to grab Henry and pull him in the Jeep and take him away, and they wanted to beat him up. But you know, back then it wasn't easy being a punk.
Yeah.
You know, like these, people today have it a lot easier. I think,
course.
You know, I mean.
So you guys were kind of enforcers protecting a lot of the
that
punk
was
kids.
that was my big thing, was going around and kind of protecting the smaller punks. On many occasions, I still get people that send me messages to this day saying how I saved their life.
Yeah, thanks for saving my life in '82.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I used to love it. I mean, I'd get it three, 4, 5 fights a night sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't care.
But you guys were able to like navigate and stay out of a lot of like the gang stuff that started happening in LA, right?
Yeah, we had, you know, we were the family, Circle One.
They were your bros, but you didn't get.
We all kind of suicidal loved us. I mean, LA Death Squad. We were members of that. You know, I mean.
So how were you able to navigate like and be friends with everyone?
Everybody because of the band.
Yeah.
Because of the band.
Yeah.
So I mean, those bands would come together. Those groups would come together at our shows, and we would never have problems.
Oh yeah.
With those, but at other shows, those guys had problems with each other.
Yeah.
But with us, we always just fit in with them, I guess. You know, I mean, I can remember when we were in Denver at one point, the Denver Skins used to come over to our house all the time, and I heard this big ruckus outside. We lived in a big apartment building, and I hear a big ruckus outside, and I look, and there's about 10 Denver Skins down on the ground, and Henry's looking out his window up here, and they're going, "Hi-oh Henry, hi-oh Henry, hi-oh Henry," you know, and they climb up the wall and go in and hang out with Henry and drink all day, you know. So
talk about confused, right?
Yeah. Well, plus at one point the Denver Skins two of the guys had murdered somebody.
Okay.
And
because we should say for the people that don't know, Henry is half Filipino and
half Japanese.
Half Japanese. Yeah. Half Japanese and
white.
And half white.
Yeah. So we were, you know, just for that point. When those guys murdered that guy, the police had thought that I was the head of the Denver Skins, and Aggression was the name of the gang.
Well, your logo's not helping.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, yeah. There's other bands that have the S like that too, but you know, I mean, it doesn't like Kiss and AC/DC have the lightning bolt. Nobody ever says, you know, well, there or that. Just because ours is two of them, and that happen to be, we look at it as surfing and skateboarding. You know, other people want to look at it as that other way. And we've had to change the style of the S's in the name over the years a couple of times to appease different promoters or whatever. You know, people, anybody who knows us knows that we're not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not anywhere near that kind of band.
Yeah.
So
that was the first Ill Repute show. You see them pop up, and they're good out the gate.
Oh, yeah, right.
And is this like something like you're stoked on? Like there's actually like an Oxnard scene building.
Yeah. There was, because we used to go, there was more in Ventura in the beginning.
Okay.
We used to hang out in Ventura with a bunch of people up there in the beginning and stuff. And then a lot of people from Oxnard, you know, Jaime and Ismail and let's see who else was other, you know, like Kyle and his friends, and then it was just the AFU started, all these little bands started coming up and forming in Oxnard, and then all of a sudden it's got a name, Nardcore.
Yeah.
You know, people are starting to say Nardcore this, Nardcore that, you know, and then it's got a symbol.
Yep.
Okay, so it's starting to become world known. I mean, people across the world still send me messages. You know?
Yeah, well, in '84, the Nardcore comp comes out.
Yeah.
And you guys are on it along with everyone else.
Right.
Now, is there anyone at the time that you think got left off the comp? Or do you think that's a really just good representation?
I think that's a pretty good representation of what's going on at that time in Oxnard.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you saw Arkell?
Yeah, I saw him at the barn.
Okay.
It was called the Barn up in Goleta.
Okay. And were they just insane?
Yeah. Awesome. Those guys are insane, definitely.
Yeah.
All great musicians. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, they had their problems with losing people too, like, you know, like we did. And if you're in a band, you know, that started back then, you have all original members, you need to count yourself being fucking lucky.
Yeah.
That you didn't lose anybody.
Yeah. I mean, well, it'll repeat, right?
Yeah, I miss Mark and Henry every day. I think about those guys.
Oh, I bet.
You know, whenever I hear a song, aggression song, or I talk to somebody about the old days, you know, it's
Yeah, I never got to meet Mark. It was at his memorial, though. It's a theater.
right.
Joe I got to sing SATC with, I don't know if you were playing, but Henry was definitely
Yeah, I
playing.
was there.
And the Burning Dog guys were playing. And
Yeah.
that was really nice. And I knew Henry, and what a sweetheart.
Yeah, Henry was a great guy. He'd bend over backwards to help you out if he could. If he had some way to help you, he would do it if you needed something.
Yeah, yeah. And just very nice to you and younger kids that he didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So that goes a long way because you never know who the kid is you're talking to.
Right.
You know?
I mean,
what that kid ends
our
up
singer
doing.
now, Jess, he was one of the little grommets that used to dance in my dad's front yard on Fillmore Street on Silver Strand when we'd be practicing.
Uh-huh.
Him and 3, 4, 5 other kids would be out there in the front yard just slamming away while we're practicing.
Yeah.
You know? And now, you know, he's singing for us, and
Yeah.
he's insane. You know, he's like in that same kind of area as Mark. You know, he's a really good performer.
Yeah, he's a great performer. Yeah. Well, he's musically talented across the board, right?
Yeah, he's got so
does
many
Scott
other,
Addies and so
he's got
forth.
so many other bands that he's working with and stuff.
Yeah. Now, do you do more than the 2 full U.S. tours?
Yeah, I think we did 3 or 4.
Okay.
You know, every year we would go.
Every
out.
year you'd go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do the BYO record in '83, and then you do the self-titled on Mystic in '85.
Yeah, we call that one the Ugly Picture album.
I like that. I like the cover. You know,
I don't know.
it's pretty rad.
Well, we were supposed to put that album together. We were on a tour, and the plan was to put that album together after we got back from the tour.
Okay.
We had like 5 shows left on the tour. We're in Texas, and we went to a record store to try to sell some T-shirts and whatever we had to try to make a little extra money that day. And I walk in there, and there's that album put together for sale, which we had no clue.
Sure.
So they put all that together without
It's a Mystic special.
Yeah, Mystic special. Glue it and put it out. You know,
Yeah, because half the songs are like you'd already put them out.
Yeah. We didn't want to do that. Well, you know, that's Mystic trying to get it out there quicker so they can make more money or whatever. But I was surprised to see it. We didn't like the cover. You know, we thought they could way cover. I don't like the way the aggression is on it. I love the picture on the back of Mark's arm with the safety pin through the zigzag man.
Yeah,
because I did that.
I think the layout's cool, but it's not mine. So obviously, things that are your own, you're gonna.
I love the picture of Mark.
Yeah.
With his head all cut open and stuff, and there's actually a better picture of that from 4U's. They used to go around, and there were a couple of people who used to go take pictures at all the shows and put them out for free for everybody to see them. And that's where that picture originally came from, I think.
Okay. And so I asked that question before I read my own notes, but in '86, there's I believe it's a 7-inch, the Mystic 7-inch, the Live at the Underground Railroad. And this is actually a live recording in West Virginia. Now, is that at a club, or is it like
it's a club called the Underground Railroad.
Okay.
I think that night we were playing with Butthole Surfers.
Okay.
And the guy made a tape from the board and gave it to us at the end of the night. Probably never intended for that to be put out.
Again, somehow it just found its way into Doug's hands.
It found its way to Doug's hands, and then Phil worked with it for a while, and all of a sudden it's a 7-inch.
Now, did you know that one was coming out, or did you see it in the stores the first time?
I seen it in the stores. Well, they told us, a week before they released it or whatever.
Okay. But that's cool. A live recording from West Virginia. You wouldn't expect that.
No.
The CBGB's one you expect, right?
Well, I don't know too many bands that have a live album from CBGB's.
No. Agnostic Front?
Yeah. Well,
so, and that's the most famous one.
That's when you would expect them to.
Yeah. Because, that's actually my biggest punk and hardcore regret ever is In Control played CBGB's, but we were on a tight budget like you were too. And I think they charged, I can't remember, we played in '03. And it was either $50 or $75 to have them record from the soundboard. And we're like, I just can't do it. And then ever since then, I was like, I wish I had that recording so much. Because if you do like a 4-week tour, that was probably about the 2-week mark.
Right.
We were so dialed in.
Oh, yeah.
It's the 2-week mark on a tour is the greatest your band is ever going to sound. Right. You're so tight, but you're not burnt out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, it might have been the best we ever sounded. And it was a CB's. And it's
Right.
like, why didn't I spend the $50? God damn it.
Well, I mean, when we did ours, Doug had paid for a 16-track mobile recording
Sure.
studio to show up in there and everything, and I think it probably would have been just as well
Yeah.
done off the mix board.
Yeah.
You know,
Possibly.
for $50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever he paid.
Yeah. Who knows? Because John Lyons, he used to spoil us from the living room up in Goleta because he would just record through the soundboard for us for free. And so, whatever. When you're young, you're young.
Yeah, I always love those. I always love those soundboard tapes, though. You know,
Yeah.
they have a lot of heart. Usually, you can hear a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I think you guys come across really well. What year is it that you moved to Colorado then?
I think that was like 88, maybe.
Okay.
And then I think the only reason we really moved to
Did everyone move? Who's the band at that point?
me, Mark, Henry, and Mike Minnick.
Okay.
And we went there. We played with a couple of shows, and our tour bus broke down again.
Okay.
And we ended up staying another week at Denver with the promoter, and he said, "You're doing the Adolescents next week. Stay and play with them. I'll give you enough to fix your RV." So we did that, and we had a great time there that week. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the night, we played the show. Got our money. Everybody was getting in the RV to go, and I looked at the promoter. I had just broken up with my girlfriend at that time in Denver, in Oxnard, so I felt like I didn't have a reason to come back to Oxnard. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I asked the promoter, Jeff Rutledge. I said, "Hey, can I move in with you?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I looked at Mark and Henry, and I said, "Hey, give me my amp and my guitar and all my stuff up there." And they're like, "What? You're staying here?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm going to stay." Mm-hmm. And they were like, "What about the band?" I said, "Well, there's plenty of people that would want to play bass for Aggression."
Yeah.
So Mark looked at me and he goes, "You're staying?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Me too." So Mark goes, I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to stay too." So I was like, "Okay." So Mark grabbed his stuff, and Henry and Fluffy went home back to Oxnard and Camarillo, respectively. And we didn't hear anything about it. No one talked about it. About 3 weeks later, we got a call. And Henry said, "Hey, if you guys come out and play these 3 shows, we'll fly you out. You play these 3 shows, I'll move back." And Mike said he'll move back to Denver. So me and Mark came out and played the show.
What were those 3 shows?
I just remember one was at the Palomino.
They had to be big if they could afford your airline tickets,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The Palomino one, someone got stabbed at. And I think it was supposed to be me or something that got stabbed, but the guy stabbed somebody else. It was like, I don't know, somebody sent me something a week ago from this guy in prison writing these things.
Yeah, you want to back up and tell that whole story? It's a pretty interesting story.
Well, I guess I was going out with this girl, Shannon, at this time, and she had a leather jacket, and we had seen the leather jacket. We went somewhere to Kmart, or we came back, and the leather jacket was gone. Mm-hmm. So there was these guys staying in L.A. from L.A. staying at her apartment, and we went through it. And I said, "Okay," I started to get a little pushy. So who's got the fucking thing? Nobody would come up with it. So about a week goes by, and we found out someone said that they bought the leather jacket from that guy that was staying at their house. Well, that guy is at the house again up there staying, so I go there and I bring my baseball bat. Well, I walk through the door and the guy jumps off the couch and flies over the balcony window out second floor and fucking gone. And he's telling people how he was going to kill me. So I went downstairs again and I'm walking up, and he's standing on the grass out front going like this. So I stopped the car. At me. Yeah, I got the car. I start to go over there, and he runs away again. Well, a week later, I seen the guy at the show, at the Palladium or the Palomino, and I was right next to him. I could have killed him if I wanted to. Well, I hear now he writes this article from prison saying how he came there that night to kill me.
Yeah,
and he was waiting. He said once we took the stage, he was going to rush the door and run up and stab me a bunch of times. Well, they tried to rush the door. Well, they weren't big enough to get through the door. They couldn't get past the bouncers. So the guy stabbed the bouncer through his arm right here.
Yeah, his forearm.
And the cops came and everything was gone. So then he's right. I had no clue until maybe 2 months ago that I was that close to getting stabbed.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that what would have happened was I'd seen the guy coming and I'd have bashed him with my bass and killed him,
Yeah.
or whatever. But
I'd put my money on you, Bob.
yeah, at this point, I felt pretty invincible back then,
Yeah.
So I didn't care, I put myself in many bad positions with guns and other stuff in the streets. And,
Any more stories like that you want to tell?
I don't know, man. A lot of people don't know my friend Casey. He used to, well, if you were us real early, he was our roadie, and he got murdered by his best friend. But we were at Godzilla's one night, and these guys were out front pointing a gun, and they were pointing it at Casey, and I went up and kicked the gun out of the guy's hand. I don't know how I got lucky, but it flew up on the ground, and then Casey was so drunk, he grabbed the gun and picked it up, and he's like, I felt more afraid for my life when Casey had the gun
so
than when the guy that was pointing the gun at him had it.
Yeah.
He was so fucking wasted. So I took the gun from him.
Yeah.
And then these guys had the nerve to come up. They want to try to get the gun back.
Yeah.
I'll go, yeah, let me give you the gun back. We don't have any more bullets. You can take the bullets out. I just need the gun. Right, yeah.
It's like, but fool, you're just
You
pointing
just,
a gun at
10
me.
minutes ago, you were going to shoot my buddy, and then you were telling me you were going to kill me.
Yeah.
And I kicked the gun out of your hand, and now you want it back. And I guess you need to leave.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't get the message. So after about 10 minutes of them crying and bullshit, everybody just got tired of it and kicked the shit out of them. Just sent them on their way,
Yeah.
They were starting to get like mad and said, "We'll come back and do this or whatever. We'll go ahead here. We're going to give you something to come back for." Boom.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Well, those are the classic stories that people love to hear. So, as many as you got, that's great.
Okay. Well, this is kind of funny. We were in Denver, and we were all working for the same concert company and everything, and we put on this big show. And me and Mark and Henry and about 6 other people were in a Volkswagen, regular Volkswagen. We had all these people smashed in there. So this guy Rick was driving. He gets off the freeway. Well, he makes a turn onto a one-way street, going the wrong way. Mm-hmm. So the cop is going the other way, pulls around, puts the lights on. So he goes up to the next street. Like, okay, I'm going to go turn and get on the right way facing. So he goes up to the next street and turns another one-way street the wrong way. So the cop is going, go up to the next street and pull over. Yeah. So the guy Rick goes up to the next street, takes the turn and pulls up on the curb, wrong way. 3 wrong ways in front of the cop in less than a minute and a half. So we're sitting there and the cop's going, "Oh, you guys, what are you all doing? Get out of the car. I see you guys shoving beers under the seats and everything else." Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So we're all sitting there, he's getting our IDs and everything. And I look across the street, and I see this guy walking down the street. Well, it's an Indian guy. Your typical stereotype Indian, big, tall guy, long hair, not leather jacket, army jacket, like the guy in
Native American
over
dude.
The Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
That, like, big Sarge or Chief or whatever you call him.
Yeah.
And this guy's walking down the street, and he's singing he starts singing to himself, and he stops, and he looks over at the cop car, and he looks at all of us, and he looks at the cop car, and he starts walking straight for the cop car. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? He walks up to the cop car, he opens up the back door, and he looks at the cop, and he goes, "Take me to 5th and Broadway." And he hops in the car and closes the door. He thought it was a fucking taxi.
Oh, shit.
And the cop looks at us, and he's going, "You guys are so fucking lucky right now." He goes, "Get in your car. I don't care what way you go when you leave, but get on a one-way street and get home."
Yeah.
He goes, "Looks like I have something to deal with." And so we get in, we're all piling back in the car, laughing our asses off, and you can hear the guy going, "5th and Broadway! 5th and Broadway!" What the hell, man?
That's great.
He saved us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we would have probably all been going to jail.
Yeah. So when you're in Denver, you still work on music.
Yeah.
You're still doing Aggression.
Yeah, we were doing that.
And it gets a little bluesy?
Well, me and Mark started a band called the Mark Hickey Blues Project.
Okay, so it's a separate thing.
Yeah, and then we had another band separate from that, which was called Nightbreed.
Okay. And what would that have been like?
That was more 9 Inch Nails, kind of weirdish.
Okay.
Kinda.
Did you record?
We had stuff recorded, just that we recorded at home, but
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one flyer from one of the shows with that band, just like Kevin from 7 Seconds sent me a flyer that we played my other band, Blistering Agents. We opened for 7 Seconds at Mabuhay back in the early '80s.
Yeah, so
My
cool.
other band. So there's four. When I was at, there's four. I've been in four bands. There was one of those, and then another band called Havoc,
Okay.
which we played up. They only played like 2 shows
Okay. Based out of where?
at Oxnard,
Okay.
Silver Strand.
Cool. So what else do you do when you're out in Denver?
We all worked for a big concert company called Fay Concerts.
Okay.
They did shows at Mile High Stadium, McNichols
Just
Arena.
everyone.
Yeah, the biggest shows.
Yeah.
Metallica.
Okay.
What Monsters of Rock tours and stuff. All kinds of stuff like that.
Is Aggression active then into the 90s?
Yeah, we were playing still in there. We were playing the Rainbow and the Lion's Lair and other bars and stuff up in there.
Okay. And when do you move back to California? When does everyone come back?
I think I came back. I came back in like 80 or 93 or 4 or
Okay.
something like that, maybe.
Okay.
And then I ended up on Catalina Island,
Okay.
not doing anything musical or anything like that for a while. And then Mark and Henry both had passed away. That's when I started playing.
But they came back because Henry was back in.
Yeah, after Mark passed.
So Mark was in Colorado.
Yeah.
When he passed.
Yeah.
And then Henry moved back after Mark passed.
Right. I was on tour with Battalion of Saints, or Battalion of Saints. I was on tour with the Dead Kennedys as Klaus's bass tech when Brandon Cruz was singing for them.
Uh-huh.
And they played up in Santa Clara or somewhere like that. And Henry had got Aggression on 2 shows with them. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I'm playing. I'm there. I'm going to play a couple of songs.
Sure.
With Aggression. So I started out playing a couple of songs at those 2 shows, and then I slowly kind of came back into it.
Well, that lineup that Henry had going at that time was really good with the Little Rob guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know who else, but
It was Little Rob, and then
and who was singing? It wasn't Jess who was.
it was I can't remember.
Was it the AFU guy?
No, it's
I can't remember, but that lineup was good because I saw them play in Thousand Oaks, and same thing. You were there.
Yeah.
You played a few songs, and they were out of this fucking world.
was that with Kevin Jelly Roll?
Can't remember. I just remember Henry like raging,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
and the unit was like so good because a lot of times when bands get older and you start losing more and more members, they can suffer.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that like unit that Henry had put together, it just seemed like they must have practiced all the time and they were just having fun, and it was so pure.
well,
It
Henry
was-
and Rob lived together up north. So
Yeah, were they based out of Santa Cruz, maybe?
yeah, I think
somewhere
so.
like
I think
that.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It was a very pure. Like it seemed they were just doing it for the love.
Right. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
very nice. And then and so Henry passes, and then you're back, and
Yeah, I started going. We started doing more shows, and then Henry got sick, and we went through all of that, and then eventually we lost Henry. And I didn't want to do anything after that. I was pretty much devastated by the whole thing.
yeah, because the two, it was very close to each other,
Yeah,
like a couple years.
yeah.
Yeah.
And those are my best friends.
Yeah, for your whole life. If
Yeah.
you knew Mark since 12, 13,
Yeah,
and same with Henry?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very sad.
yeah. That was a bad year.
Yeah. So, I don't know how to pull out of that question. I'm not
Yeah,
that good
right.
at this.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, see, what we that was started into the Cleopatra
Okay.
fiascos, doing them with anything with Cleopatra.
yeah, how did you hook up with that, and what is that? Is it just like a re-release of the
Yeah, it's just
the Mystic type stuff?
it was some Mystic stuff, and
It was that album, right? It's
Yeah.
just almost
yeah,
redone.
but it's all live. And
Okay.
and remastered.
Okay.
They spent a lot of money remastering it. It caused a lot of problems between Mystic and Cleopatra, and then Cleopatra. We signed to do that thing with them, the CD Full Circle, and all of a sudden I look and there's a album out, The Best of Aggression, that Cleopatra has put out, So they're really the people that just put out what they want, I guess. And so I called up and I said, hey, listen, I called them up and they were like, oh yeah, well, we didn't know how to get a hold of you guys and this. And I said, well, you need to send me some albums. They sent me 2.
Jesus.
Yeah, 2 albums.
Jesus.
I was expecting, 50, maybe 100 or something.
Well, yeah.
They sent me 2 albums.
Wow.
So,
crazy.
yep.
The new Mystic.
Yeah.
But at least Mystic bailed you out.
Yeah, definitely. Or who knows, we'd still be sitting in jail maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to get Doug on because I got to get him on. But because even outside of like the punk rock stuff, his discography and everything is so interesting. It's a lifetime of music because his dad was a engineer as well.
Well, he was a talent scout he turned down Kenny Rogers, so.
Never lived that one down.
Yeah, that was one of his big regrets, he said.
Yeah.
And then, when in Mystic, there was gold albums by Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin on the wall in Mystic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, he had a lot of influence in the music industry.
Yeah, I think he did a.
And he's done over 500 bands.
That's right.
Yep.
He'll tell you.
Oh yeah, it's the first thing.
Yeah, I got to get him on because for the people that haven't, had the pleasure of talking to him, he's a old school guy with a gift of gab.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Bob, I really, really appreciate your time. This has been great. I do want to leave the floor open to you because definitely one of the legends in hardcore and definitely punk rock legend. So just anything you want to say and anything you want to get out there to really anyone, the floor is yours. You can speak on anything.
Well, for me, it's just, this, to think back that this all started in, 1977, 78 for me. It was quick, I never played an instrument before, so, whether you're an accomplished musician or someone who's never played an instrument before, punk is kind of an open genre, you can go in and learn to play as you're writing songs. And, there's such a wide variety of sounds and people that love different sounds out there. You're going to find your own niche no matter what you're playing, what kind of music, what variety of punk, whether it be street punk or straight edge or potcore or whatever, just keep going and keep it trying. I never thought that I would be in a band in my whole life. That was the last thing I ever thought I probably would do. And now I've got 7 albums, and last year we were inducted into the Ventura County Music Hall of Fame, which was really cool. So for lifetime achievement. And we didn't give a shit about that when we started. We didn't care about fucking people wanting to, we didn't care if we were known or not. We just wanted to play music, go out and have a good time. We didn't care about winning awards or anything like that. It was a hoot and it was a holler, and we had fun. We got laid a lot. We went out, we drank a shitload of beer and alcohol, went across the country many times. So, have a good time. Started a band now, keep it going. Now I hear there's this new Nardcore album coming out, so get on that album and make this scene come alive and just keep flourishing. It started with 2 or 3 bands, and it just needs a spark to keep things going. And I went to a show not too long ago at the place where they did the brewery where they released the Nardcore beer.
The Casa Agria?
Yeah, and there was 3 or 4 local bands playing that I hadn't really seen before, and I have to tell you that I was blown away by all these bands. And I was really blown away by the fact that there was 150 kids in there under 18. It was an all-ages show. And I haven't seen it back like that. It reminds me of the early day when we would all be there and these kids were out there from the first band to the last band, every song slamming, going in the pit, having a great time. Just reminded me of the way all we used to be back in the beginning. Now I look at these kids and they're going crazy, having the best time, and then I look at the bar and there's all the people Said they're having a good time, but they're drinking and they're
Yeah.
not doing any dancing or going up and seeing the bands. They're just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
So it's good to see all these kids kind of beef up the scene some more.
Yeah. But it's nice that the old dudes show up just
Yeah.
to listen too.
Oh yeah, no, there's still a lot of people showing up at the shows. You know, like if we play or whatever, any of the older hardcore bands play, I feel like it's respect. People show up, you know, just because we started it. You know, we got this whole scene going. And
Hell yeah.
that's about all I can say. Just
Yeah.
do it and have a good time.
Well, we appreciate you starting everything.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that much. So much respect, Bob.
All right.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Have a great time.
Okay.